Will County Board Land Use and Development Committee meeting to order. If you will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like to ask Member Ogala, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, Board Member Ogala. And then Dawn, good morning. Would you please call the roll? I'm here.
Here.
Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
Don Bullock. Here. Raquel Mitchell.
Yep.
Judy Ogala. Here. And Denise Winfrey.
Okay, I believe we have a quorum. On to the agenda here. First up, I'm looking for approval of minutes, but we don't have any to approve. Is that correct? Okay, so we're going to pass that up. On to new business. First up on the agenda, zoning case 25104. This is a map amendment from R2 to C3 at 13737 South Archer Avenue in Lamont, Illinois County Board District Number 4. Can I get a motion and a second to put this on the floor?
Motion request. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I will turn it over to staff. Margie, do you want to fill us in on this one?
Certainly. So zoning case ZC 25-104 is a map amendment. It takes place on Homer Township. The address is 13737 Archer Avenue, and the applicant is Christopher L. Johnson, 2006 Living Trust, where Christopher Johnson and Claudia Johnson are co-trustees. And basically, they operate the existing vet clinic that operates on the eastern parcel adjacent to this. And they have outgrown their existing parking lot. They've acquired the parcel that's subject to this request. And in order to expand the vet clinic, they need to match the zoning district. So they are requesting C3, which is a general commercial district, so that they are allowed to do that. Ideally, it's the initial expansion of the parking lot so that they are not parking along Cokes Drive, which is what currently happens with the existing vet practice. In terms of compliance with the criteria for the map amendment, it is supported with the trends in the area. Archer Avenue is a big commercial corridor, and the future plans within the village of Lamont and Homer Glen do you see this as being a future commercial area. The adjacent, zoning has gone more towards commercial, with the further western parcel also being rezoned to commercial a couple years ago. And it is in compliance with our land resource management plan. The suitability would be appropriate for commercial as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, and I see staff does recommend approval. Is the applicant here today for this one? All right, I invite you up to the microphone here on my left. And then do we have any questions for staff while we're waiting for the applicant to come down? Looks like Member Ogala, you can go ahead.
I just want, there's currently a home on this property
Correct.
and that's going to stay.
The home and there's, I believe, 3 accessory structures and a detached garage are all planned to be demolished.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, would you please introduce yourself? Make sure your microphone's on. It's the button on your right. The red light will appear when you hit it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm Chris Johnson, and I own the Archer Veterinary Clinic. And what do you need to know from me?
All right. Well, lots of things.
Yeah.
Do we
Okay.
do we have any
All right.
questions from?
So I have 2 cats and
Right. Okay, I think we might be ready to vote on this one. Okay, you got off easy. But
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you
I
for,
appreciate it. Thank you very
thank you for
much.
being here. Please call.
Becky Pretzel.
I'm a yes.
Sherry Newquist.
Yes.
Herb Brooks.
Yes.
Don Bullock.
yes.
Raquel Mitchell.
Yes.
And Judy Ogala. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Off to a good start. Next up on the agenda, zoning case 25028.
It'll make my neighbors happy that we get parked on.
That's good news. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. This is a special use permit for a commercial solar energy facility in Troy Township, commonly known as 26347 West Baltz Road. in Joliet, Illinois County Board District Number 1. This one was postponed from November to be on this December agenda. And I need a motion and a second to put it on the floor. Motion Mitchell, second Brooks, and then Margie, tell us what we don't know about this one.
Yeah, so like previous month, they are waiting on the existing legal cases that are before Judge Braun, and the applicant has requested this to be postponed to February of 2026 because the court case status pushed their further decision to January 26th of next year.
Okay,
So
I need a
again,
motion
they're
to postpone to February meeting.
Second Mitchell.
We have a motion with a second. Could we do a previous roll on that?
Previous roll, Gala.
Previous roll, second Brooks, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we're postponing until February. Next on the agenda, number 3, zoning case 25111 for a map amendment from A1 to I2 and a special use permit for a clean construction and demolition debris fill operations on vacant Brandon Road, Joliet, Illinois County Board District Number 6. We're going to have 2 votes on this. The first one is for a map amendment. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So move Mitchell.
Second Newquist.
Okay. Kelly,
Mhm.
please fill in the blanks on this one.
Yeah, so this is ZC 25-111. They're requesting a map amendment from A1 to I2 and a special use permit for clean construction and demolition debris fill operations. The subject parcel is 11.5 acres along Brandon Road. The site is predominantly near industrial uses with agricultural and limited and residential areas nearby. Although the immediate area is A1, the trend in this area has transitioned towards industrial development. The proposed use and future use of the site complies with the Will County Land Resource Management Plan and the City of Joliet's plan for future industrial use. Staff finds that the proposed fill operation is compatible with surrounding zoning and will be appropriately regulated for any safety and environmental concerns. Of agencies notified, there were no objections. In the EcoCat report, IDNR did request wildlife-related mitigation report, which staff added as a condition. There was also a letter of objection received that was provided as a memo. There was also another memo with a slideshow that is associated with that letter. At the planning and zoning meeting, there was one individual that spoke in opposition with concerns. Staff is recommending approval for both the map amendment and the special use permit. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 4-2, recommending approval for the map amendment and the special use permit. I can answer any questions, and the attorney is also here to speak.
Okay. Is the applicant here today for this case? Mr. Washburn, I see you want to come on up to the microphone?
I do have a question for staff.
Yep. And then we'll open it up to questions for staff, starting with Member Newquist.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to fully review the packet on this item. What was the nature of the objections received?
I know there was some concern with contamination of groundwater and environmental impact, but they are here to speak today as well, so they can probably go into more detail on their concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff before we? Okay. Welcome.
I
Thanks
was
for
going to
being.
say good morning, but you guys have had a long one, so we're already in the afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone.
Slipped away from us.
It's been a minute, but certainly happy to answer any questions you might have. But really quick in summary, I'm going to try to address a little proactively some of what came up Tuesday night. So staff did a very good report. We do stand behind staff's report. We are asking for both the rezoning to industrial and for the clean construction fill permit. This property has a very substantial drop off. I believe the back third of this property is about 40 feet below grade from where the front portion of the property is. And it lends itself well, as many of you know, the applicants, this is a subsidiary of their main operating business, which is a road construction company. They pick up sites like this to allow them to have dump sites for the clean construction debris that's closer to the jobs they are doing. So that way, the letting of the contracts, they can bid, cheaper, which arguably saves the county and state money, or at least that's the hopeful end goal, while still allowing the businesses to operate. As far as the concerns that were raised, the majority of the concerns that were raised were partially groundwater and the potential for contamination. What I can tell you about this site is this specific site is currently has monitoring wells on it from Midwest Generation, because this site, the former Lincoln Stone Quarry pit, which is to the north, and the property across the street from that was all owned by Lincoln Stone Quarry. My client bought the property between the river and the road, and this strip, we did not buy the actual quarry. The quarry also has monitoring wells because the quarry itself was the coal ash pit for the Midwest Gen power plant. So this site is constantly monitored and will continue to be monitored well into the future, so long as the coal ash pit is being dealt with. So were there ever to be any sort of contamination issue, it would be very quickly caught, and it is far more likely that any contamination would be coming from the much deeper hole in the ground, which is the coal ash borrow pit. So we do not believe that this will harm that. Another issue that was raised was karst soils, or karst topography. I shouldn't say soils, because karst is really the type of rock, limestone, dolomite, things that are very water soluble. As water runs across it, it erodes and, can lead to sinkholes, depressions, and other things. We are going to be putting fill, whether it's clean dirt or crushed, concrete and asphalt, to build this site up, making that bedrock that is soluble further away from any topographical water or anything. It will take longer for it to leach down as this gets filled, which again, while not necessarily being a solution per se to the concern, it certainly, in my opinion, would mitigate the concern, because we are now doing the exact opposite of what they might be concerned about, which is making that bedrock more exposed and more likely to erode. We're actually putting something between any water and it to try to help defer that further into the future. So again, it was a concern raised, but we believe our project actually would help improve the situation, not harm it. The other concerns that were raised are also captured by IDNR's report, which was there were some endangered or protected species that were identified. We are certainly happy to comply with the IDNR's requests for an additional study as to the ospreys and to any tree activities being done at the appropriate times as permitted by IDNR, which I think is between April and October or something. I feel it's April 1 and October 1 is when they could do anything with regard to the trees. There were concerns raised that we have not submitted that report. They did present a letter from IDNR saying we had not submitted that report, which is absolutely true. We are not going to do that report until it is required. And if none of this gets approved and moves forward, there would be no need to do that study, because there would be no change in zoning. It would remain ag land and nothing would be disturbed. But as a condition such that it is, if this were approved, and we would do that study before doing any fill operations. Additionally, this is only the first step. We were talking about the zoning and the special use. The actual amount of fill, the waters, how we deal with stormwater runoff, all that'll be handled in engineering and would require separate permits. A fill permit we would have to apply for from the county, as well as the actual state CCDD permit, which we cannot acquire or apply for until the zoning has been permitted. So there will be still more state and local regulation on top of this. We think this is a good project for this site. It fits, they raised Joliet's comprehensive plan. Joliet's comprehensive plan, outdated as it might be, does have this earmarked for industrial. It does flag it as partially being wetlands, but if you look at even the county's wetland maps, there is one circular depression area that might be a wetland. We would, of course, take any steps required by law to either mitigate, address, or avoid that area. But wetlands themselves are not a zoning district, as was mentioned Tuesday night. We can't split zone a property. We're not going to leave the back half of it ag for no good reason. So the zoning would still be appropriate even under Joliet's current permutation. And for all of those reasons, we do believe, based on staff's report and our ability to address the comments and concerns that were raised, that this is an appropriate project, and we would hopefully ask for your support here today, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions any of you might have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the committee here?
I do.
Go ahead, Member Ogalla.
So I know that there's concern about the the cars topography.
Topography.
So I'm wondering, maybe staff has a question. Is the EPA involved with this? Are there reports that have to be filled out? Can you give us some because, I mean, we're asked to approve this, and studies won't even be done till April, so.
I think for questions that are related to the permitting of the site and EPA regulations, Dave Harkey over here is probably the best qualified to answer that because a permit is required from the state and his employees do inspections of these facilities. I'm not sure how many per year, but let's see if Dave could answer that.
Good morning, Dave Harkey, Director of Resource Recovery and Energy Division. Our facility or our division inspects these types of CCDD facilities for the county under our delegation agreement with the state. There will be a permit application required, and the applicant will have to draft that application for the permit and submit that to the state. The state will then review the application as well as the anything that is regarding that location. They will review that and then determine whether or not they will actually issue a permit or not. That is contingent on anything that occurs here. The zoning and map amendments, so forth, will all have to take place and be approved before the state will approve the will even consider approving the CCDD permit.
Thank you. Go ahead, Member Newquist.
Okay. So if you guys could just clarify something for me, is the IDNR study a requirement or is it just a suggestion? And if it's not a requirement, can we add that condition to make it a requirement?
It's already a condition, and we've already agreed to accept it if approved.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Anybody else?
So if for some reason they file the application for this permit and it fails, then what happens with the project?
2 years goes by, I believe, and then 1 year or 2 years if we'd ask for an extension, or is it just 2 years flat, Margie? So after 2 years, the special use would lapse by virtue of not being put into practice. So if we get approved for the special use and we can't get a state permit, it will fail after a period of time. And we would have to come back for anything else.
Okay, and this is obviously a county road. All access will come from Brandon Road.
That's the only frontage we have for this specific parcel, yes. And I believe DOT did give us some comments that for future users, the fill site itself, as we're just putting dirt and, crushed concrete back there, I don't know that they had a lot of concerns about that level of traffic, but any future user, I believe Kyle did give some comments and our engineers will work through those, but any access would have to come off of Brandon.
Okay, and then is there some sort of a bond or assurance that, any damage to Brandon Road there with all the?
There would be several levels of that. So certainly as far as environmental impacts, I believe any CCDD site is required to have certain bonding with the state and possibly even the county, or the county is a sub-recipient of the state's bond. That's one level of protection. As far as the road goes, if we are doing or required to do any improvements to Brandon Road, we would have to bond for those improvements while we are constructing them. Once they are fully constructed, the county would, in theory, release the bond, assuming that they accept all the improvements as they are situated. As far as just the general impact of any traffic on the road, that would be subject to just the township and county's tax levy, because routine maintenance is not generally part of, the bonding for a request like this.
Right. Member Brooks?
And just for the record, Mr. Chairman, whenever there's items on this agenda that pertain to my District 6, I come to the planning zoning meeting on that Tuesday night, and I was there. I heard Nate and the objector side, both sides of the project, and the owners. And I had to throw in, we're here pretty late, so I think you ought to buy dinner.
Yeah.
But that, I don't have an issue. It's in my district, and I heard all the pros and cons on that night. And I do sit through all of them.
I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Washburn. Is there anybody here to speak on this case? Okay, I invite you down to the microphone here.
Would you like me to
Yeah.
hang out?
Yeah, don't go too far.
Will do.
Thank you for being here today. Please start by introducing yourself.
Thank you. My name is Patricia Nugent. I own property at 1815 Brandon Road, within the circle boundary of the maps that you received. The 2007 City of Joliet Southside Comprehensive Plan proposed map does not show it as industrial as stated on page 7 of the staff report. In fact, it identifies more than half of the proposed site future land use to be floodplain, wetland, open. Therefore, the proposed and future use is not compatible with the Southside Comprehensive Plan. I encourage the committee to deny on this point and other factors. Factor 1, the soil qualities support the Southside Comprehensive Plan as floodplain, wet, and open. The Will South Cook Soil and Water Conservation District Report number 5823 identifies nearly 1/4 of the soils on the parcel as hydric. According to the report, these soils by definition have seasonal high water at or near the surface and or have potential flooding or ponding problems. The Conservation District Report on page 38 states that all hydraulic soils range from poorly suited to unsuitable for building. Factor 2, this report identifies a freshwater marsh that exists on the south side of the property and extends onto the adjacent property. The National Wetlands Inventory identifies it as the PEMIF. This is a marsh or similar habitat where water levels are consistently high, supporting a robust and long-lasting cover of marsh plants like cattails, reeds, and grasses. This is a type of wetland where surface water it presents for the entire growing season. If the surface water is not present, the very high water table is just below the surface, keeping the soil saturated. My concern would be the disruption of soils at this site that could impact my property's ability to drain. My second concern would be the impact of this project on the other half of this freshwater marsh that has not been included in this report. Approximately half of the marsh is on the adjacent property. How will the environmental benefits of wetlands, like cleansing of water, controlling floods, recharging of my aquifer, be affected with half the marsh is covered with 40 to 50 feet of fill? A survey and habitat assessment on potential impacts to the freshwater marsh and the karst aquifer needs to be a condition of approval. Factor 3, in 1994, Sam Pano and Pius Wiebel of the Illinois State Geological Survey documented sinkholes approximately 1/4 of a mile to the southwest of this site. In karst terrain in Will County, south of Joliet, Illinois, they wrote, "We observed 3 sinkholes, each about 30 feet in diameter and 6 to 8 feet deep, a circular to elliptical in plain view. At the bottom of these sinkholes were 3 to 4 small holes leading to bedrock crevices. In addition, numerous closed depressions, interpreted to be sinkholes, were visible on USGS topographic maps. The 30-foot diameter sinkholes were not visible on the topographic maps. This indicates that there are probably many more sinkholes in the area than are visible on topographic maps. Our conclusions are that the area south of Joliet contains numerous karst features and is underlain by a karst aquifer. As such, karst aquifers are susceptible to groundwater contamination from facilities constructed within their recharge areas. Consequently, the geology and hydrogeology of this area that is underlain by karst aquifer and overlaid by relatively thin glacial till and the presence of sinkholes should be taken into account when considering the construction of any facilities within the recharge area of the karst aquifer. Groundwater in a karst aquifer flows rapidly, and surface-borne contaminants can enter the aquifer quickly. Groundwater can travel to nearby wells in a matter of hours or days without any filtering or biological degradation that occurs en route to other types of aquifers. To protect my well and aquifer, details of the karst aquifer features located on this property need to be identified, protected, and not disturbed by the placement of fill on top of them. Factor 4. Staff recommended approval with 4 conditions. The 4th condition is that the owner operator shall comply with the IDNR recommendations outlined in EchoCat Review number 2605358 that stated October 8th, 2025, which includes the following. The applicant shall submit a survey and habitat assessment performed by a qualified biologist and shall submit that results to IDNR for a final determination on potential impacts to osprey and other migratory bird species. In an email dated December 1st, 2025, from Isabella Allen, IDNR, she states she is unsure if anyone has performed the habitat assessment, and she does not have any record of anyone reaching out to advise they have done so. At the Planning Commission meeting 2 days ago, the person representing the applicant said that they will do this if the zoning change is approved. He added that they did not have it done because of the cost involved in such an assessment. Since they have not complied with this staff condition, I request you deny the zoning change. The final factor. The IDNR report states that EchoCat indicates a record of the state-listed rusty patch bumblebee occurs in the vicinity of the projects, and coordination with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service may be necessary. There is no attachment to show that the applicant coordinated with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to assess the potential occurrence in the project area of the rusty patch bumblebee, which has federal status. The rusty patch bumblebee was listed as an endangered species in 2017, making it the first bumblebee to receive federal protection. Only the new queens that are produced late in summer survive the winter to start the annual life cycle again when they emerge from overwintering sites. Rusty patched bumblebees are assumed to overwinter, mostly in forests. This parcel is identified as a high potential zone on the U.S. Forest and Wildlife Service high potential zone map. Also, under the 4th state under the fourth staff recommendations, work within wooded areas shall only occur between April 1st and October 1st to avoid potential impacts. They have not followed this staff an IDNR condition for approval. Sadly, the real cost of them not doing the habitat assessment is the potential loss of habitat to these endangered species. For you see, they chose to spend money not on a biologist to assess the property, but to hire a company to clear cut the woods. I present to you today, Mr. Brooks, these were not presented at the meeting on Tuesday, photos that show the destruction of these woods. The first photo shows the farming that is being done on this property. It's very clearly obvious that the forest is preserved in the back of that program that was this fall. The second photo shows the forest. What remains of the forest is just the stripped wood. The third and fourth photo shows Homer Tree Service pulling into the property, removing the remains of the forest. I urge and plead that this committee deny the request to bring in fill material and to grade the property, because the impacts to the osprey, the karst aquifer, the freshwater marsh, and the federally protected rusty patch bumblebee is unknown.
Do we have any questions for the resident here? Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Sure.
Thank you for your comments. Please
Good
state your-
Good
please-
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kathy Helena, and I am a resident of Will County. I also grew up in the property adjacent to the area under study, so I have a vested interest in what is happening there. I am here today to read a letter from Mary Baskerville, who is unable to be here. Mary is also a resident of Manhattan and Will County. Members, the impact of the proposal on groundwater is extremely important, as LiDAR imaging confirms the fractured nature of the area. I am presenting this tonight via slideshow as my husband's health prevents me from being in person. I appreciate the opportunity. As a lifelong resident of Will County, I raised the issue first in 2009 at the Intra-Agency Coordinating Committee on Groundwater at EPA headquarters in Springfield. From the minutes, a presentation that was given last year by the Illinois State Geological Survey recognized this area as a karst region. The photo shows the karst region. The presence of sinkholes helps to indicate that it is indeed a karst aquifer. When industries began to utilize the aquifer in the 1990s, the drawdown became a concern because there are several industries with contamination issues in very close proximity to quarries. This includes a chemical plant that worked with radioactive materials during the war and an old ESL hazardous waste landfill that was operated in the 1970s before regulation of the industry. To further complicate things, there is a deep underground mine, which requires dewatering. and further raises concern about the hazardous waste being pulled off. The 2009 decision is important because the plan to put clean construction debris in the adjacent Boyd's Quarry was not permitted because the EPA made a precedent-changing decision to explore the impact on the water supply outside the boundary of the project. It was likely that approval would trigger a right-to-know action by the EPA. Importantly, Will County's own LiDAR imaging confirms the karst nature of the area. Review is needed before this proposal goes forward. I ask members of this board to require a water study be done to evaluate the suitability of a clean construction debris project in light of the area's fractured bedrock. Mary Baskerville. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee for the, go ahead, Member Ogala.
So this is for staff. So my question is, if this were to be approved, do they have to do a water study? Would they be required to do a water study for this?
Thank you.
So for the state CCDD permit, they may have to submit a study, but I am not for sure. I'd have to confirm that with them.
Member Brooks.
Mr. Chairman, I am a little confused now. Ms. Nugent is correct. She did bring some information today that was not available on Tuesday night. And I guess I'm curious to the Attorney Washburn, what would be your response to this added information? Secondly, Kelly, was there 4 conditions? How many conditions did we have?
There's, yes, 4
4?
conditions. Yep.
Okay. And Ms. Nugent, you had a problem with all 4 of those conditions?
The one that I addressed was the fourth one that
Right.
dealt with dealing with doing the actual assessment of the
Okay.
property.
Okay.
Quite frankly, I got the report last Friday and I really haven't had time to
Okay.
even consider the other ones, but this was the main concern.
You've done your homework. All right, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, if Nate can respond to
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
requests.
Mr. Washburn, you want to come back up?
While he's coming up, the copy that I just handed out was the actual copy from San Pano with the karst documentation in it. So I wanted everyone to have the actual document that talks about the karst in the aquifer.
I was given an opportunity to review those photos. Certainly, I can see a photo from some point in the past when it was being farmed. Don't know when that photo was taken. Certainly, I can assume that the photos with Homer Tree, because there's clearly snow on the ground, were taken of relatively recent vintage. As far as I was aware, as Member Brooks is currently aware, Tuesday night when we had this hearing, I had no knowledge of any trees having been removed. Certainly, it appears that something with regard to the trees has occurred. I don't know what precisely, because without trespassing, I don't know that they could get far enough onto the property to fully encompass what is well below grade, but the truck's presence certainly shows something. I'm certainly able to, follow up with my client and find out what was commissioned, what was done, when, where, why, and how. I would state, however, though, that, with respect to some of the concerns raised, once again here by Ms. Nugent and Ms. Baskerville via, representation, the conditions in the IDNR report are 2 things that say, for example, the Osprey report. It says before we actually undertake to do anything, we need to complete this study. And as I represented Tuesday night, it is a condition that would prevent us from operating the special use without doing that study. To do that study with no end goal is my client essentially just spending money on a report that if this body or the full county board were to deny the application, would be a study done for no purpose and would show nothing of any note to anybody. So we are fully willing to do that. As far as the woodland work, it says work within wooded areas shall only occur between April 1 and October 1 to avoid potential impacts. That's the condition that is yet to actually be in effect per the county's special use permit. I believe the INDNR report itself, it says something much less definitive in terms of, I believe INDNR's exact language was work within wooded areas should be done between April 1st and October 1st to avoid potential impacts. So IDNR is saying should. The county special use permit requirement would require us, because it uses more affirmative language, shall not be done. But as the special use hasn't been granted, and that's what we're here to seek, it appears to me by happenstance, by design, or what I cannot speak to because I don't know when exactly my client commissioned this, by IDNR's report saying that work should be done, that's not a hard bar and doesn't even say that it couldn't be done. And the county special use condition, while it is stronger worded, is not currently in effect. So there's technically not a violation of the special use because it's not in existence yet. And it seems like that condition point might be now moot, but I can't speak much more to it other than to say, I don't know when or what the scope of the work was done to the trees. All I can note is that to the extent that any trees were removed, it's not a current violation of any special use because one does not exist. And the actual IDNR report uses much less firm language than what the county's condition was requiring. So not that that probably assuages certain concerns, but I do want to highlight that even IDNR was not saying you can't do it, just that steps should be taken to avoid it. And I don't know when it was done precisely or what precipitated it. I can certainly inquire. Regardless of the vote here, this will be moving forward to county board in a couple of weeks. So I can certainly provide additional comments to staff and to the county board beforehand to give more context. But I don't think that whatever may or may not have been done with regard to the trees should necessarily change the vote with regard to the zoning. As I mentioned before, wetlands, open space, it's not a zoning category. So the zoning would be appropriate even if there are wetlands present. Industrial ground has wetlands on it all the time. The zoning would be appropriate and with in line with staff's recommendation and the comp plan. And the special use still would appear to be appropriate under the circumstances because even though that one condition may now be moot, the county's proposed condition was much more tersely and strongly worded than what IADNR's actual report was requiring.
Right. Just a reminder, we're voting twice. The first one's just the map amendment and then the special use permit. So
Yes.
clearly this is an industrial area. So the map amendment to me seems like a much easier question. It's the special use permit that I think, decisions have to be made. So.
Yes, and I do, to reiterate some of the concerns about, karst topography and all these other things. All that is before you now is the option, the special use, which allows us to continue to pursue with the state the permits that we would need. Those are all subject to additional engineering. Those are all subject to additional requirements. And while I can't state off the top of my head whether or not any sort of additional water studies are definitively required, certainly it would be within the state's power to require those if it is appropriate and necessary. Certainly, we are willing to comply with any state law requirements. And I do think for that reason, a recommendation of approval would still be in order. However, certainly new information, dealing with it, incompletely and on the fly, I can't speak any further to, again, the one sounds like biggest elephant in the room would be what really is going on or happening with these trees. And certainly I can provide that update in the interim.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, sorry to see you.
Thank you. It's okay. So I must say, it doesn't say a whole lot about your client. if they did go ahead and clear these trees, knowing that this was going to be a requirement or a condition from the county. So that kind of makes me want to postpone this decision until we find out from them what exactly they did and did not do. The other question that I have though is that you guys were speaking about water contamination. This is a clean construction fill only site,
Yes.
correct? So I mean, it's the usual stone, concrete.
Asphalt grindings, crushed concrete, and clean dirt.
Okay.
And some clay. I don't understand their concern at all. And my best attempt to address it was to just advise this board that there are monitoring wells by Midwest Gen that are already on
Right.
this site that are constantly monitoring it, and there are no signs of contamination for this site. And the objector's property is actually on the other side of the Gallagher asphalt plant, which is further south from us. So again,
Okay.
if there is contamination, I don't even know that you could say that it's from us because you have the old ash pit to the north, which may or may not be contaminating things. I can certainly say that you can look it up on the IEPA website. It's not clean. And you have Gallagher, which separates our property and their property. So there are more than enough other properties in the area that I don't know that putting, to your point, clean fill on a site runs any risk of contamination at all. But they've raised it, and I'm trying to address those concerns by explaining that there are monitoring wells and we are going to comply with best practices. However, I don't think it's a well-founded concern. I think it's a phantom concern with regard to this property, not a phantom concern in general. But that's what I would say to that. And I do understand the trepidation. I will say this, many property owners, residential, commercial, you name it, throughout not just this county, the state, the whole country. Trees are an interesting conundrum because many of us will cut one down in our backyard and we don't think to ask anybody for permission because it's our property. I don't know the exact nature of this. I don't know what kind of trees were back there, but it's not uncommon for people to hire tree services to clean up their property. That being said, as I relayed, the county's condition is much stronger than what the state was suggesting in their report. So for all I know, and my client does have a copy of IDNR's report, he may have said, okay, it says, we should take all steps to do it. And for all I know, they cleared the majority of this in October, or late September, within that window of time. Again, I didn't ask my client the status of the trees before coming Tuesday night. I am finding out, via these photos that something may have gone on. And I'm certainly going to talk to my client about that and provide an update. But again, as this is a recommendation and it's still subject to a final vote at the county board, I don't know that postponing this for, when we got 2 weeks to get that update in and there will still be another vote to come. I think still taking a vote today and moving this forward to county board would be appropriate. And we can certainly work with staff to get additional info, and all of you will be provided an update prior to the final vote at the county board.
Thank you.
Member Mitchell.
It starts with it. Like, our decision is based on some level of trust. And whether we cut a tree down in our backyard, it happens all the time. However, it doesn't happen when a government entity says you can't do it because we have to, do a study of some type. Like, so there was something in place that said, whether it said should or shall, and I get that. The state was a little, the county was more harsh than the state, yes? So when,
Certainly more strict.
yes. But but the county did, ask the owner not to do this until, the study was done. So even with a bit of gray area, I don't think that should have been done. And I have I do have concerns. Whatever you bring with you to the next meeting, I hope that it's not from your client and that it's from somebody who has given us a little bit more reason to trust them, like such as Homer or something like that. Whatever proof you offer cannot be the word of your client because your client has already proven himself to be questionable at this point, unfortunately. But I'm going to go ahead and I will be a yes on both. But I caution that I will be a no if that's not sufficient.
Understood.
Come the full board meeting.
And I certainly appreciate that. And certainly, as you know, trust is everything for, I have been before you guys many, many times and I hope to be before you many, many more times in the
Yes.
future. So
Well,
you
you're
know
not
that
the
I don't come
problem.
up here to tell you things that I don't know to be the case. And certainly, Member
Right.
Brooks would be able to say, had I been aware of this, this was raised Tuesday night, I certainly would have addressed it head on Tuesday night
It's
had I
not-
been aware of it. And
Obviously,
I
it's
would have
not
been
you,
prepared
yeah.
for today to further address it. However, I'm only able to do what I have the knowledge to do, but I will make sure that whether it's, correspondence communication from Homer Tree or whatever we can do, so it's not just my client coming up and saying, I did this on this day. I will make sure that I get that information and I update staff as soon as I have anything in writing that I can submit. And at the barest of minimums, I will be here the 18th for the county board meeting and we'll be able to directly answer any follow-up questions, additional concerns that may have arisen. But I
Sure.
appreciate that
Of
and I
course.
do understand that
And
there is a little bit of a gap in trust right now
Yeah.
and I don't have the answers for you. But I would say that while this one move may weaken some of that trust, the members of this entity, Matt Marchetti and Vince Farrow, have many businesses, many entities, and PT Farrow Construction, which is their operating business, has been in business for 3 generations now, I think. They have built a lot of trust over the years and they have the reputation they do because they do things the right way. Again, there could have been a mix-up here. This could have been done in September, and I understand your comment
But
about,
we know it
well,
wasn't done in September because we know that it was nice and toasty in September, don't we?
No,
We all
no, no,
remember
no, what I'm
that.
saying is, well, all I'm saying to
Right,
you
right,
is,
right.
we know that there were trucks out there removing something. We don't even know what was in those trucks.
Fair enough. Fair enough on that
So
one. Yeah,
that's why I'm saying, for all I know, the trees could have been cut down 2 months ago and it took them till now to go pull the stumps out.
Right, no.
So that's why I'm saying, I
Right.
don't want to cast a judgment until I know all the facts.
Got you,
But
but,
my, where I was going with that is, I understand your concern that,
Yeah.
this condition was on there. However, the only thing I can say to that is, the condition is a proposed condition. It's not an existing condition. And while I understand that may not sit well because of the timing of this, and I
Yeah,
understand
like
why it
that's-
wouldn't sit well.
And that tells me how they're gonna do the entire operation. Oh, we're supposed to do this, but they didn't say you have to do it. It's conditional. And these people here are concerned about their environment. But
But I would say
But-
that we have several other CCDD sites currently active in the county that have, to the best of my knowledge, and I don't know if Dave can correct me on this or not, but the other facilities that are operated by Mr. Marchetti and Mr. Farrow are in good standing. To the best of my knowledge, have not had any issues, problems. They do follow
right,
the law.
Nathaniel, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Okay, so, no, not to cut you off, but
No,
I gotta
certainly.
cut you off.
I talk too much.
No, you're good though. Okay, so there is a question from the Will County Health Department about septic
Yes.
well. Can you explain what you're going to do about this? Okay, so just for people who don't have it in front of them, if this property is going to be on septic well, then bringing in fill material soil would cause issues with adding a septic system to this property in the future. So what is
Yes, so I can very easily address that for the time being because we are coming in to zone it industrial to use it for a fill site.
Mhm.
We have no need for well and septic because there is no buildings going up, there are no people going to be on it, is going to be a depression hole, whatever you want to call it, that we are putting dirt into to fill.
Okay.
Ultimately, any future development of this site would either be on well and septic if it stays in the county, which we would have to take alternative ways of engineering that, because what it says is it will be problematic for a septic field. There are mechanical systems, there are other ways of providing these services. That's one option. The far more likely option is in the long run, if this were to develop for a building or something that would require the use of water, potable water, and sanitary systems. I don't know if it is currently contiguous to Joliet, but this whole area, much of this area is already annexed to Joliet. I do know that there are water and sewer lines servicing the properties that are annexed to Joliet. So to the extent that well and septic was not possible, our only other alternative, if mechanical and other systems don't work, would be to discuss with Joliet either annexing to get those services, or if we don't have contiguity, Joliet has on occasion, and I think it does supply water, at least sanitary sewer or water to certain county subdivisions by kind of separate intergovernmental type agreements. We could certainly explore that as well. But I would anticipate
But that's years down the road.
it'd be what it would be, as I said, Tuesday night. Holes in the ground like this fill based on the need and demand for road construction. Right now in Will County in Illinois, road construction's hopping and has been for I-80. So depending on how many loads and how close the projects are, could it fill up in 6 months? I doubt it. Could it fill up in 6 years? Possibly. Could it take 60 years? Maybe, if road construction dries up and there's no jobs. So I can't tell you exactly when it would be filled and ready to be used, but I can certainly say that if and when they were going to do that type of construction, we would be able to address that specific question either through other systems that don't require the fields that they're referencing, or by annexing to Joliet or working with Joliet to get sewer and water.
Fair enough. Your client needs to, you better bring it next meeting.
Certainly.
Member Brooks?
Well, I'll be 131 in 60 years, so hurry up. Nate, as an attorney representing your client, you did a very good job. Unfortunately, Ms. Nugent did a very good job representing the objection to this project. Mr. Chairman, for that reason, I would like to make a motion to postpone this to next month to give Mr. Washburn the time that he needs, as well as time that I need. And let me throw this in for free. I won't charge you for it. I went to John Marshall Law School when it was downtown Chicago. I chose not to pursue law. Didn't want to take the bar exam because I didn't want to flunk. But anyway, I learned something about law, and the only thing that was 35 years ago that I remember is something called a hung jury. And for that reason, I am now a little perplexed about this project. It's in my district, and I want to be correct about this project and not perplexed. So I make a motion to postpone this, Mr. Chairman, for next month.
Thank you, Member Brooks. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I understand the request. I'm not sure I feel like it's necessary because we do still have to go to the full county board, which does give the applicant 2 weeks to provide whatever information, follow up with members of this committee, follow up with staff, members of the board. So I don't really think it's necessary to bring it back to this committee in a month or two, where we have to go through this whole process again. If you're not comfortable, I would recommend you just be a no vote on it.
That wouldn't be fair to
But we certainly we're gonna vote on it either way. I'm gonna be a no on postponing. I think we should just handle it today, because I do think we have enough information to make a decision on whether we should recommend it to the full board or not. And then when the information comes that we've requested, you can vote accordingly at that time. But that's just my opinion. Any other comments on this before we vote on postponement?
I'm the guy that took the pictures. I
Okay,
live at 1807 Brandon Road,
okay.
and you can see here on my phone, it's December 3rd.
Okay.
Cleaning out the debris. Homer did cut out all the trees.
Did you see him cutting trees that day or just removing the stumps or what, or
I think
the wood?
They're grinding away all the stumps at that point. And then he brought up the question, like the trees that were there, my brother and nephew and myself farmed the land. And the picture that with the combine is this fall when they were picking and all the trees were there. Then I have some other pictures of, trucks sitting there with all the trees there. So I made it all happen. I came back from Europe in November and pretty soon everything was different.
Right.
And then also in the information, when Vulcan came in, they came to us, said, Dan, what can we do to, make everything good for you? And I said, we want a berm built, like Centerpoint put in. It's 20 feet tall and 100 feet wide. And they said, Dan, we'll do what you want. And they did, and they landscaped and it's beautiful. And I haven't heard anything about any landscaping or berming or anything. And we know when we got on 53, construction debris goes into that old quarry. It comes out and the road's all covered with dirt and stuff. And we haven't heard nothing about how they're going to control the amount of dirt coming onto Brandon Road. They're taking all these trucks in there dumping stuff. They're just going to pull back out on the road and go. I wasn't going to talk because I get nervous, but I hope I made myself clear.
Yep, all legitimate concerns for sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have any questions for him? No. We are going to vote on the postponement right now. And then we have a motion in a second. So do you want to call the roll on that, Don?
Postpone. Frankie Kessel,
No.
Sherry Newquist,
Yes.
Herbert Brooks.
Yes.
Don Bullock,
Yes.
Raquel Mitchell. No. Julio Gala,
All right, that's 4-2 postponed, right? Okay, so this will be postponed. We're not having a meeting in January because of the holiday, so till February. Fair enough? Okay. All right. And so that would be we don't have to do that twice, right? That's for both the map and the special use. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Next on the agenda, zoning case 25-103. This is a map amendment from C4 to R5 and a special use permit for a halfway house or an inpatient rehabilitation facility at 111 Patterson Road in Joliet, County Board District Number 6. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Second, bro.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Kelly? Fill in the
Okay,
blanks.
so this is ZC 25103. The applicant is requesting a map amendment to R5 and a special use permit for a halfway house. The subject property is located along Patterson Road and is currently improved with a commercial building. The applicant is looking to renovate the existing building and operate a 24/7 inpatient drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility with 13 beds and 8 employees. The surrounding area is mixed with residential, commercial, and industrial uses, as well as the nearby railroad lines located to the south. The property itself has been historically commercial, but the proposed use is a combination of commercial with temporary residential use as well. Staff reviewed the map amendment and special use permit criteria and found the request to be appropriate. The building will not expand, impacts to neighbors will be minimal, and traffic is expected to be low. There was no objections from any agencies. There was one individual that attended the public hearing expressing concern regarding the residential rezoning affecting future rezoning of commercial or industrial in the area. With all of that, staff is recommending approval with the map amendment and special use permit, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 recommending approval as well. And I believe the applicant, they are here to speak if you have any questions for them.
Okay. I will invite the applicant to the microphone. And do we have any questions for staff while we're waiting for him to come down? Okay. Thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Sharma. I'm the owner of ECS Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Facility located in Joliet. I got a prepared comment, so I'll just read this to you and then I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. For nearly a decade, ECS has operated successfully and safely in Will County. We run a Joint Commission accredited men's-only treatment facility dedicated to empowering men struggling with addiction and co-occurring disorders. We are Medicaid serving, highly regulated, and consistently audited. And in all these years, we have operated without any major incidents and with an unwavering commitment to compliance and safety. The proposal that I'm bringing to you today is not simply about adding beds. It's about responsible land use, redeveloping a property for a higher public purpose, and meeting an urgent and documented need. Years ago, we converted a former bar into a treatment center. We transformed a space associated with addiction into a space for recovery. This project is another chapter in that same redemption story. This site was previously a place where women were not respected and were often mistreated. Today, you hold a chance to change that narrative. It is the very definition of beneficial, thoughtful, community-minded land use. Our vision for this site is a dedicated women's residential program, our first ever. This expansion was not ECS's idea alone. It is the result of years of pleas from hospitals, crisis teams, social service agencies, coalition, various coalition groups, law enforcement, mental health liaisons, and community organizations. And what they all said was simple and urgent. Women in Will County have limited places to go for residential treatment that takes Medicaid and addresses trauma and co-occurring mental health needs. ECS is ready to answer the call through freestanding center dedicated to empowering women. Why gender-specific programming? It is best practices. Women experience addiction differently than men. They often carry higher rates of trauma, domestic violence histories, child custody pressures, mood and anxiety disorders, and safety concerns that cannot be addressed in a mixed gender setting. A woman-specific environment provides safety with peers who understand their lived experiences. Women feel safer processing trauma in a space where others share similar struggles. Higher engagement and completion rates are also noted. National research shows women complete treatment at a significantly higher rate in gender-specific settings. Better long-term outcomes are also noted. Reduction in relapse, higher employment rates, and improved reunification rates. This facility will be fully licensed and inspected. This is a locked and access-controlled facility for safety. Staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a low census, 13 beds, non-detox, non-acute, meaning that the clients that will be here are medically stable, and more importantly, they're voluntarily choosing this program. This facility will be quiet, structured, and therapeutically focused. It is a highly structured clinical environment with routine accountability and therapeutic intervention. My goal with this facility is to have it for women, and it will be run by women through and through, from top leadership all the way down to night staff, security, the chef, the whole 9 yards. Will County agencies are overwhelmed from what we've been told. Hospitals are boarding behavioral health patients for days. Police respond to mental health calls at rising rates. Families feel hopeless. By offering a local residential treatment for women, we reduce the strain on emergency departments, crisis units, jails, county services, law enforcement, and neighboring municipalities. We also help women return to employment, parenting, education, and making meaningful contributions to the community. When land is used to restore and stabilize and uplift, the entire county will benefit. Today, the decision before you is not simply about zoning or land use. It's about Will County choosing to transform a property into a place where women can reclaim their lives, rebuild their families, and experience safety and dignity during the hardest chapter of their journey. This project honors the spirit of this county, strong, compassionate, forward-thinking, and deeply committed to its people. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your leadership, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee here?
I just want to make a comment. Dr. Shermer, I appreciate you coming back. You've been here before, and I appreciate the goal that you're seeking here is for women only, because we often have for men. So I'm very happy that you are looking at doing women only and run by women, so there isn't any other issues that might pop up. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Agreed. Okay. Do we have anybody here that would wish to speak on this case? Are you coming down to talk on this? Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Minister Dr. Mary White, and I live in Will County. I am an overcomer of adverse childhood experiences, such as witnessing my younger brother being ran over by a truck when I was around 6 years old, being sexually assaulted several times, hit in the head with a bat while on the playground at elementary school with no intervention from the staff, teachers, or anything. A- Abuse, abandonment, and addiction to alcohol and drugs. Suicide attempts and gestures, mental health hospitalizations, homelessness, where I was homeless at Morning Star Mission when they were over on Joliet Street. And all of this led to a final suicide attempt right what was known as Evergreen, the Des Plaines Rivers. And at that point in time, I felt like I wanted to kill myself, but I remembered, I was raised up in the church, and I thank God for choosing me and giving me another chance in life, a real life. And as a result of that, I went into detox. I went into treatment, what was then known as Tri-County, now is known as Stepping Stones. And as a result of completing that treatment, I went into their halfway house, a woman's halfway house, which was known as Sheltering Arms. And while I was there, I thank the staff that was there. I thank Pete Paul, who is still around, Tony Blumenthal, who was the executive director at that time, for showing something, recognizing something in me that I did not recognize in myself, for the help that I was getting, had received and continue to get while I was there through the counseling and intervention and support that allowed me to have. And as a result, I was also a high school dropout. Eventually, I got my GED. But as a result of that, the counseling and everything, I was able to, while I was in the halfway house, I was there for a couple of years because I was their first house manager that they ever had. And so I was able to stay there for a longer period of time. And I started going to school. At that time I wanted to do something quick. So, but I ended up getting my associate's degree in substance abuse counseling. And from there, I went to the university, which is now the University of St. Francis, graduated as a double major in psychology and social work. Went on from there to graduate school to Clark Atlanta University and graduated with my master's in social work. And came back and eventually I worked at IYC Joliet as a mental health professional until we adopted our granddaughter. And when she came in, I decided I was going to stay home and take care of our baby. And that's what I did. And then I went back to work at Morning Star Mission, where I was once homeless, and then I became an employee there. From there, I retired in 2014. But I also got my doctoral degree in ministry. I am a board certified mental health coach, a board certified master mental health coach, and I have a master diploma in youth mental health coaching and human flourishing. And I'm a wife for almost 26 years, next year in 20. I'm a grandmother. We have 3 children. I'm a grandmother of 8, a great-grandmother of 9. I'm a licensed ordained minister, currently serving as associate minister at New Beginnings Christ Church of Faith, where I also serve as a Sunday school superintendent and teacher. And in all of this here, I was blessed to be able to co-found, as the Holy Spirit is the founder, Paraclete Ministries, not-for-profit, and some of you might be knowledgeable about that. And we do several things within the community. And what we do, we help people move to personal wholeness, interpersonal proficiency, mental, emotional stability, and spiritual maturity through, and what we provide is services for the community. We do education and working with community organizations and churches alongside Paraclete, alongside community organizations and churches within the community. And what we have done, we WWHN Increase the Light broadcast, which Paraclete Ministries has been doing since 2007. We Soul Care Fair, we started at 2008. The Longest Night Homeless Memorial Celebration since 2013, and it's now still going on. Grandparents Raising Children was started in 2018, and Christ-centered coaching for churches in 2021. This is what Paraclete Ministry have been blessed to do. And so, and in that, as a result of being able to go into a residential facility for women, especially the halfway house for long term, first of all, I was impacted positively. My brain got an opportunity to change the way I saw the world, the way I believed. All of that changed because I was offered the opportunity to hope and to walk in it for real. My relationships with not just myself, but with others, my family, my children, all of that changed and turned around. And because of what God had did into my life and how he allowed Sheltering Arms and that residential facility for women to impact me and help me through, I am able to have good relationships. My family who knew me when I was back there homeless, and their children being raised up now, even them watching, have given them hope because they have said, Mary, I see where you was and I see where you are now. It's giving them hope. Relationships with community, relationship with every facet of community. But I am also a published author. God's blessings, 8 blessings for your life. I'm a published author. But I am just one of many resilient women who have profoundly benefited and is flourishing from a woman's residential facility. And so I stand here today advocating on behalf of Dr. Sherman. I grew up out there on Patterson Road. It was Club 99. My friend, she worked at the cellar, which is being transformed. And so I know exactly where that is at. And so that would be something positive in our community. Because I'm also vice president of our neighborhood community here in Joliet, East Southeast Residential Alliance. And so I just stand here just asking you to please approve this so that so many other women could take advantage and to be to flourish, to be resilient, to flourish and have a positive impact on the community. I lived in public housing. It was a benefit for me then. I had public aid. It was a benefit for me then. Now, I'm a homeowner, own 2 houses and gave one away to one daughter. Now, I'm retired. I'm not nobody else is helping me along, beside my husband. We both are retired with purpose. And so again, I ask that you approve this because this is so needed. I work with women. I work with grandparents. I still talk to women. I still volunteer at Morning Star Mission and see the need for something such as this. And so again, I ask for you to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak on this case? Member Trainier?
I just want to say I'm very excited about your new facility, especially since it's for women. And I may have an employee for you. She currently works at Grateful House and is going through her accreditation at COD. And I know her mother would love to have her back in Will County. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Member Brooks, your light is on.
Dr. Sharma, Dr. White can be your spokesperson. You wouldn't have any problem at all. But I also sit as the board of directors, Stepping Stone Center, and we just completed a women's shelter, as you know, there after serving men for decades. And as Dr. White testified, the need for women is just as strong as there is for men. So I do commend you, sir, on opening another facility in my district, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Brooks. Okay, unless there's anyone else that wants to speak, we can go ahead and vote.
Map amendment from C4 to R5. Frankie Pretzel,
Yes.
Mary Lou Quest,
Yes.
Herbert Brooks.
Yes.
Don Bullock. Yes. Cal Mitchell.
Yes, going in.
Susan Ella. Yes.
Okay, that was 6-0. Next, we have the special use permit for a halfway house inpatient rehabilitation facility.
Three conditions.
Do we need a motion and a second first on that, or? I think we do. Can I get a motion, O'Gallagher? Second, Mitchell. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Lou Quest.
Yes.
Herbert Brooks.
Yes.
Don Bullock. Yes. Cal Mitchell. Judy O'Gallagher.
Yeah.
Congratulations and good luck to you. Okay, next on the agenda, zoning case 25-109, looking for a special use permit for a light equipment sales and rentals in New Lenox Township at 202 Ford Drive, New Lenox, Illinois County Board District Number 2. Can I get a motion and a second? Motion Mitchell, second O'Gala, and then Kelly.
Yeah, so this is ZC 25109. They're requesting a special use permit to do car sales. The site is 1.4 acres and is zoned I1. It's located within the Cedar Industrial Park along Ford Road. The site is currently improved with 2 buildings and is operating as motor vehicle repair and a landscape business. There will be about 1 employee, and the agent anticipates there to be a minimal number of customers coming to the site. Staff finds the use is compatible with the surrounding industrial activities and will be compliant with zoning standards. Of agencies notified, there were no objections received. This case did go before the Village of New Lenox Board on November 10th, and their staff did provide a letter with a list of recommended conditions. That was provided as a memo. There was no objectors at the Planning and Zoning meeting. Staff is recommending approval of the special use permit with 2 conditions, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 4-0, also recommending approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I believe the agent is also here today to speak.
Thanks, Kelly. I do invite the applicant to come down to the microphone here. And then do we have any questions for Kelly?
I
or
do,
staff?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Member Newquist.
So did we incorporate New Lenox's conditions or just 2 of them? I'm a little confused by that.
So staff did not include any of the conditions in the staff report because the letter was provided after it was published. And then Planning and Zoning did not add any of the conditions. So if you guys today would wish to add those, you can. I think one thing to mention, there is 1 condition that the applicant is not looking to comply with. So I'm making sure that I'm having a discussion with him as well.
Do we know which condition?
Do you remember the number?
It was, I think, maybe number 5, paving all the way to the back of the property where the trailers are parked.
So you want to park the trailers on non-paved?
No,
areas?
we'd like to do asphalt chipping back there.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we add all 5 conditions.
Second O'Gala.
So just to be, I'll read, I have it open here. The parking lot and other paved areas on site shall be repaired, repaved, and restriped with proper handicap signage and striping installed no later than 6 months after approval of the county special use. Oh, number 3, the outdoor storage area shall be paved to provide a hard surface, concrete or asphalt for the vehicles, trailers, and materials being stored on site. I'll read them all. All cars displayed outside to be sold on site shall be parked on a hard concrete or asphalt dust-free surface within designated striped parking spaces. The outdoor storage area shall be screened from view from all public rights of way and adjacent lots with a solid 8-foot tall fence no later than 6 months after approval of the county special use. And all items stored on site, not used in conjunction with the businesses on site, shall be removed within 6 months after approval of the county special use. So what's your, how come you don't want to comply with that request to pave it? Just cost or?
Just the cost factor of paving all the way to the back of the property, the whole 1.4 acres. I mean, I was wanting to repave the parking lot all the way around the building. Just not the back portion. I didn't feel like that was necessary.
But you are planning on storing vehicles back there, correct?
Yeah, but I will have pavement where the vehicles are going to be parked in the back.
And so then where you have the asphalt chips, what would be back there?
Just the trailers. We have just different trailers. The landscape company has some trailers that go in and out every day.
Okay, so those would just be limited to the landscape trailers?
Yes,
Can
that
we
and
put that in a condition that, you know, that you could not park vehicles on the asphalt chipping?
yeah, we could do something like that. That's fine.
Why is that important?
Okay, so why don't I modify my motion to, I'm not sure which number that would be, number 3 maybe? The outdoor storage area shall be paved to provide a hard surface, concrete or asphalt for the vehicles, trailers, and materials being stored on site with the exception of the trailers, which may be stored on asphalt chips. I have no idea if that makes sense
Just
or
wanna
not,
leave out
so,
trailers and materials and just make it for the vehicles.
okay. If you guys have an objection to that on staff, let me know.
Well, first of all, we can amend this to include New Lennox's comments. That's what you're suggesting?
Yes, you can. I guess. I guess how are you gonna phrase number 3 again?
Well, I'm not really sure because what we
Yeah.
want to do is allow him to park the landscape trailers on the asphalt chips, you know, versus having to do that on a totally paved area.
She just wants to leave out the last part of number 3, which says trailers and materials being stored on site. So it would read, the outdoor storage area shall be paved to provide a hard surface, concrete or asphalt, for the vehicles. Or you could put
Yeah,
for the
but-
vehicles up for sale.
That probably makes sense.
If I may jump in, it might be easier just to phrase it if it's related to the light equipment sales and rental for the property, just stating that the vehicles associated with the light equipment sales and rental be parked on a hard surface.
Yeah, okay,
just
I think that makes sense.
Be clear with that
Are
particular
you
special
okay
use.
with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
That's good.
We want to work with you, but not
Yeah,
step on New Lennox's toes.
I got you. I understand.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay. All right.
So,
Yeah, you want to make that motion?
okay, yeah, so I'll make the motion to incorporate New Lennox's conditions and modifying I'm not sure how to word it, modifying number 3 so that all vehicles associated with the sales, service, and rental need to be parked on a hard surface. Okay. Phew, that was difficult.
We have a motion and then a second, Ogala. Can we do a previous roll? I don't remember. Yeah, we were all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Previous roll, anyone?
Previous Mitchell.
Second, Brooks, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries for the amendment.
And
And
now
now
I'll make
I-
a motion to approve,
As amended?
the conditions as
Okay.
or, yes, to approve as amended.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, is there anybody else here that wanted to speak on this case before we get past that point here? Last chance, anyone here to speak on this case? Okay, we have a motion, a second, looking for a previous roll. Previous Brooks. Second Mitchell, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you understand the amendment, all we did, you're clear on that? Okay. Thank you. All right, great job, everybody. On to other business. First up, amending chapter 155 of the Will County Code of Ordinances, Will County zoning ordinance, chapter 155-10.20 for temporary uses. Brian?
Motion,
Oh, yeah. Do we need to make a motion on that? Yes.
Yep.
motion Newquist.
Motion Nuke was second. Mitchell? Okay. Brian?
This
we
is the
vote on?
same language that this committee approved at the last meeting. We had the public hearing on Tuesday. We received no written comment. We received but nobody came in person to speak on it. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this language as presented, which is the same language that this committee voted on in the last meeting. So without any changes, it would go forward to the county board and would become effective after the ordinance was signed into law. So
Perfect.
there's not really a whole much else to say about this.
I
So
love it. We have a motion and a second to previous roll. Would be nice. Previous Brooks, second Ogala. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thanks for your work on that, Brian. Next, SCXT 25-022. It's a first extension for special use permit for a commercial solar energy facility with 4 conditions for zoning case ZC 23-093. It's in Moni Township at 26845 South Will Center Road, Moni, Illinois County Board District Number 3. Can I get a motion? Newquist,
Motion Newquist.
second Mitchell. Margie, just a
Yeah,
First
just to
extension.
briefly summarize, the reason for the extension request is special uses have 2 years to legally be established. And since the special use permit was approved back on January 18th of 2024, the applicant is working through the permitting process. Their special use is set to expire January 18th of 2026. So they are still going through the permitting. They don't foresee them being issued before the expiration. So they're here granting a 180-day extension. They did have a special use permit approved for a battery storage, which they are not moving forward with that. So that will lapse January 18th of next year. So this is just for the special use for the solar. And the county board is authorized to extend expiration periods or special uses for good cause up to 180 days, up to 4 times. And if approved, this is the first extension. It would be valid through July 17th of next year.
Yeah, this committee and the full board have been pretty generous with these extensions. I would expect this one to be the same, but is there anybody here that wanted to speak on this case? I'm sorry, you're here? Yeah, come on down. Take your time, take your time. Hi, welcome.
Yep.
Nick Standiford from Shane Banks, 70 West Madison, Chicago. I'm just here to answer any questions. We've been through this site plan review process. The building permit process takes quite a while. There's a lot of agencies that need to respond and have different competing responses. Been working through that process. It's taken almost a year, but I think it's gonna, I don't know the exact date when they plan to get the permit. I think they might be June. So we request the extension, and this is our first extension. There's going to be extension for it. So we request the extension, and if you have any specific questions about what's taking place with the site plan.
Totally understand. Thank you. Margie, can you tell us do you have the information on what the county board voted, what the vote was for this case?
Yes, 1 second.
And it included the battery storage back then, but it's no longer going to include that, so.
Yeah, this is one of the.
I believe it was 17 to 4 nays with 1 absent.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Your light's on. Did you have a question on this? It's your district.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here that wishes to speak on this case? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on it. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. You want to call the roll?
Frankie Pretzel,
Yes.
Sherry Newcrest.
Yes.
Herbert Brooks.
Yes.
Doug Volak. Cal Mitchell,
Yes.
and Judy O'Donnell.
Okay, 5-1, motion carries. Congratulations.
Nobody's contacted.
Okay, on to the next one here, SCXT 25-023. Again, in Moni, first extension for special use permit for a commercial solar energy facility with 4 conditions for zoning case 23-094. Again, in Moni Township, the northwest corner of West Pauling and South Will Center in Moni, County Board District number 3. Can I get a motion and a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
We have a motion and we have a second. And then, did you have a comment you want to
I
say?
just want to make a comment. So I was the one absent that day, I'm pretty sure, because I would not have supported this. The first one at 26845 South Will Center Road, that is way too close to residential. We've taken a stance in the past of not supporting that. So I would be a no on that. The second one is not near residential, so I would be supporting that.
Thank you. So this is the second one. Can you tell us what the vote was on the second one here at the full county board?
Yeah, so this location, it's really just, I think, up the street from the location or down the street. Again, they were approved for a battery storage. They are not pursuing the battery storage at this location, so that you are only extending the special use permit. It was approved the same time as the previous case. So again, if this or special use is extended, they would have until July 17th of 2026. And the vote from January 18th, 2024 was 15-6.
15-6, so a little bit less on this one. Okay. I believe you can go ahead and, is there anybody here to speak on this case? Last chance? Okay. Don, go ahead and call the roll.
Frankie Pretzel,
Yes.
Sherry Newcrest.
Yes.
Herbert Brooks.
Yes.
Doug Volak. Yes. Cal Mitchell,
Okay.
and Judy O'Donnell.
Yes.
Oh, you're a yes on this one. Okay, so this one's, again, 5-1. Oh.
Yes, I was agreeing with her that the one, I thought the first one was, but.
So you're a yes.
Around for the next.
Okay, so 6-0. Okay, congratulations. That carries and on to the full board. Next up, SCXT 25-024, second extension request for a special use permit for a landscape and lawn maintenance business with 5 conditions at 17958 South Cedar Road, Homer Glen, Illinois County Board District number 4. RG, you wanna?
Yeah, so the applicant is Sean Matthews, and he operates 815 Mulchit. He is looking to operate 815 Mulchit from this property and is working through relocating his business currently at the corner of Spencer and Laraway. This special use was approved back May 18th of 2023, and a previous first extension was granted earlier this year that expired November 14th of last month. And they are applying for a second extension. They are still working on getting permits issued, all of the required permits for site development to bring the mulching company to the site. Once the permits are issued, they would technically legally establish the use. So part of that is due to ComEd having some delays providing electricity to some of the buildings that they need for the business. And with that, this would be the second extension, and it would be valid through May 13th of next year if approved.
I've been following this case pretty closely. The original current, I guess, 815 Mulchit is in my district and near my house. It's not the best area for it. And so them moving to this new location is a really good move and a welcome move from the people in New Lenox. And I will also say that I do drive by it quite a bit, the new location on Cedar Road, and they've done a really nice job of landscaping it, making it very appealing from the road. They even put a cute little like old truck with some landscape rocks to make it look really neat. It's a great business. I think most of my area gets their mulch from 815 Mulch. And so I'm definitely supporting this. I hope you all will too. They're on the finish line. They just need a little bit more time. Yeah, probably. Anybody here to speak on this case? Okay, do we have any comments here? Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Oh, sorry about that.
Randy Gratzel,
I'm a yes?
Jerry Dupas,
Yes.
Kirk Brooks.
Yeah.
Don Block. Yeah. Al Mitchell. Yes. Judy O'Connell. Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to number 5, just a solar status update. Margie.
Really, there's no update in terms of like this table, but I did just want to ask the committee here today to think of potentially drafting some guidelines regarding pre-construction meetings. We are seeing a lot of the special uses that have been approved. The solar developers come in for permits, and they are rushing to get a lot of their sites built before their funding dries up, and to allow and work with them and not cause any further delays. The pre-construction, this board and the county board has really encouraged them to be done on site. And we've been getting a lot of inquiries the last couple months or so to actually be on site when it's cold. So just having some ideas of, when we do the pre-construction meetings, we tend to invite the road district, the fire district, county board representatives, township officials, municipalities within the area to kind of put names to faces of what's going on, who's the people to contact if there's issues. And with that, being on site in cold months, is that something the board still wants? If we do not have a lot of public officials attending these meetings or responding to the emails when we ask for availability, is there a way we could potentially go online using like a remote meeting and just making sure that they follow up with the appropriate agencies on site? I know partly these meetings were to guide Will Southcook to kind of start getting the ability to walk the site with the developer and kind of point out issues and start working on the conservation plan. It seems like a lot of the developers are already starting that process before they actually come forward for the pre-construction meeting. So really it's, land use staff that goes out there. We have a sign-in sheet, we document, and the last couple meetings, we've had a lot less attendees from outer agencies than initially. So we're just trying to get a better understanding if you still want us to proceed with on-site meetings, if there's certain conditions where we could potentially do remote, or find ways where the developer's not going to be held up with the permit being issued because we can't get these meetings in a timely manner.
Member Mitchell, go ahead.
Well, I just have just a question. If you have to be out there, like for all those who have to be on site to take a look at it, to walk and identify any issues before permitting, those people should be there. Everybody else is ancillary. I don't know what a county board member besides, could add to that part of the process. So maybe eliminate the people who aren't necessary. That's my initial.
Keep including them in the invite, but don't expect them.
Right. I mean, they're just ancillary to the process. I mean, so I wouldn't go out of my way to, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there. I'm just saying that if they're not required, if there's nothing for them to really do, other people, you guys should be there. You need to see the actual landscape. You need to see what's happening. You need to actually, walk the grounds. And anybody else who, engineers or something like that, they are the people who need to be there. I'm not exactly sure some bureaucrat needs to be there. That's a requirement. That's my initial thought.
I was going to say, I'm comfortable leaving that up to you guys. I mean, if it's a situation where you feel that you need to be on the grounds, then yes, by all means, make it a live meeting on the site. But if you think that whatever the issue is, if it can be resolved either remotely or, an off-site meeting somewhere, I trust your judgment on that. If we need to make some sort of formal change to our ordinances or processes to make that happen, just let us know.
Thank you for your comment. Colin, did you have something?
Yes, yes. Are there any more comments on the pre-construction meetings for Margie
Oh,
before I begin?
I just thought there was something about us going out and getting our own information that we shouldn't be doing. And if we're showing up there as one board member alone to,
this is actually after we've already voted on it.
after we voted on it?
So I have attended.
Yes, we trust you.
And it's, I think we probably get in the way more than we help, but,
I don't usually go.
but I do think it's important that you extend the invite, allow them the opportunity to go. But by no means should it hold up progress for the applicant. Right, right. Yeah.
They have to have the meeting, they have the meeting all together.
Yeah.
All of them go at one time, do a pre-construction meeting. So I think it's very important to do the pre-construction meetings on site because every parcel of ground is completely different than others. And you don't see the differences until you walk it, until you go there. So while Soil and Water, they get out there, they walk it all the time, that's what they do. But then if our staff isn't there, other members aren't there, they don't understand what problems could result from this solar facility being built on this property. I've seen it all over. I've gone to these things. I've seen spots that are very bad, and we've had to play catch up after the fact. So by having meetings up front and everybody being there, everyone can understand what needs to be done. And one of the main issues has always been the darn landscaping, dead here and there, not handled correctly. They should have a cover crop on it before they do anything. Sometimes they buy the land, they leave it, weeds grow up. This can be pointed out beforehand. Sometimes the geography of the parcel itself really makes it more difficult to put any kind of growth on it. It takes a long time. So I've seen it where the developers come to these meetings, but then the company they've hired, which is usually a local union company that hadn't done this. Now I think they're doing more of it, of course, but they didn't understand how landscaping on a solar facility is much different than landscaping around other things that they work with, these union companies. So on-site makes a lot of sense. I get it might be raining, it might be cold. I think it should continue the way it is. I think it's been beneficial. I think it's good. So then our staff and myself, when I'm invited, I've been there. I know what they're talking about. Should somebody call me, if I'm just like when we look at our stuff online, I mean, these pictures, unless you go there, it's really hard to see it. You see that snapshot, but to go there and see the whole view, whole picture, such as when I voted no for the one solar extension and not the other, the difference is that for that was simply location. And I know that the state doesn't think we should have any say. But in the pre-application meeting, pre-construction rather, we're able to go ahead and make suggestions, and they typically get done, which makes the whole thing in the end, as much as I may not like it myself personally, the whole thing in the end is much better than trying to play catch up. And the amount of hours spent to catch up is less. So I would recommend we keep it just how it is. And if people don't show, document it, keep a attendance list, and that's it. And I think all the board members for the district should be invited because it's important to go as well. Thank you.
Yeah, well said.
And my final, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm only stating that the scheduling should not be reliant upon whether or not a county board member can make it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, like, this is the date we're having it. Hopefully you can make it or whatever, or maybe ask, but I wouldn't hold it up for that. Or at least I just wouldn't. That's all.
Yeah. Did you get everything you needed there, Margie, or?
I think so. I think, what we have been doing is we have the email invites that we send out to everybody, and then we usually do a sign-in sheet at the site. There's just some concern too with like the snow now. We have some developers really requesting in the next couple weeks they want to be out on site. But there is just some concern of like parking along the right of way with snow and you can't really see the drainage ditches, things like that. Okay. But we'll just make the developer or ask them to provide parking and things like that, work with the road district to have parking solutions.
Sounds good. Okay, now I thought you wanted to comment on that. so-
No,
Well, you-
it is solar related. Just wanted to get all of that
Yeah.
taken care of first. So, the Assembly in Springfield passed Senate Bill 25 and has sent it off to the governor. What that means is that we are going to have to redo some of our zoning ordinance and maybe some of our building code and definitely our fee schedule. And that will need to be done within 120 days after the governor signs it. So there is going to be a lot of information coming your way about these text changes that are forthcoming.
Want to give us the Cliff Notes?
Cliff Notes. A lot of it has to deal with the battery storage and geothermal and some wind and some solar changes along with it.
Making it easier for the applicant or more difficult?
Don't know. It's a little, for me, it's just strange. I haven't figured out the nuts and bolts of it yet.
Thanks for the heads up. Member Trainier, did you have a comment?
Okay, just a follow-up question. The changes are only dealing with solar and battery as far as the costs and everything that you just mentioned that has to be adjusted? Or is it for our entire building and zoning process? You mentioned fee structure,
Yeah,
so that's why I'm
yeah,
asking.
yeah, yes.
Is it only with solar and batteries and wind?
Yes, it's just
All these changes that you
Yeah, I
mentioned.
mean, it's a comprehensive list of items that we'll have to deal with. It's very, very broad. So there's going to be lots of changes that will be coming very, very quickly.
But
And
only on solar, wind, and batteries?
as opposed to
The
what?
entire application process for any?
Oh, yes, correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, geothermal and, yeah.
And
so-
geothermal,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
sorry, I
Apparently, we're
forgot.
not approving them fast enough.
Apparently, I don't know.
Go ahead.
So I'd like to make a comment on Senate Bill 25. I sit on the ISACO Solar and Wind Committee, and we worked really hard for many months together, special meetings we had, and we put together a comprehensive list of what all the counties in the state looked for in changes to this legislation. And then what's disturbing to me is they didn't listen to anything we had to say. They said, oh, this is what they want. We're going to do completely the opposite. We're going to take more powers away from them. It's really despicable because they are taking one industry and giving them special considerations and special everything that they don't give to other industries. It's really just disturbing to me. I don't know what's causing them to do this. As far as our fees go, I don't think our fees are out of line. I think some other counties had higher fees than we do. Although I would like to look at what is the maximum that we can charge them, because I would like to charge them to the max. I don't believe that we do. In addition to that, I don't know if there's anything in particular with the fact that, for these large solar plans, which I envision in my mind as 400, 600, 1,000 acres, what have you, all being contiguous. What we're finding is they're not contiguous. They're scattered throughout an entire countryside across 4 or 5 different townships. And we're allowing them to get one special use permit. It means they're paying for one thing. What other developer can develop something in multiple townships on all different parcels that are not contiguous and pay one fee? They don't. It is really just disgusting that they're getting these extra privileges, because it's not fair to other developers who do other types of projects that they're not getting that. I mean, so I don't know, Colin, if you can highlight those things when you bring us that ordinance forward so we can see what we're currently doing, what changes we can make, and if we have the opportunity to make it a little more difficult to them, then I say we do. And I'll just make one side story here. So this is a couple things that happened. One of them was, and this is the 5,000 acre plan that they had to rush through to get everything done because they're going to lose subsidies. But they went to the farmer's field who was leasing the property and just laid down boards so they can drive their trucks out and do soil borings. Okay. They did not tell the farmer. I can't tell you how many farmers that I know drove up to their property with their farm equipment only to find out that a portion of it had been knocked down by this. And they're like, well, that's between the landowner and the farmer who's leasing it. Well, you know what? Actually, the farmer who's leasing it owns that. That's their crop. Has nothing to do with the landowner. So that is a mistake in them saying that. And I said this to their faces when I was at the meeting in Manhattan. That is disrespectful of the farmer. He put all his time, effort, energy into working up the land, planting the seed, taking care of it, nurturing it all the way until it becomes a crop ready to harvest. And you get there and suddenly it's gone. That's ridiculous. That we need to have that in one of our ordinances to say, if that's happening, they should not do that. Or they should at least be, make sure that they have to provide documentation to us that they spoke with the farmer who's leasing the property and have approval, because they will compensate you for it, for your crop. But your crop is not all that you've put into it. It's not just what you're going to get. It's all the time, energy, and effort you put in beforehand. So that is disturbing to me that they've done this. So if we could look at those kind of things, Colin, and say, can we make them do more than one special use permit? I don't know. I know we allowed it. We voted to say yes, but that was because my interpretation, it was going to be one large area, not scattered.
Right.
And then also, I don't know what we charge compared to what we were able to charge.
I should point out that I'm only the project manager. I am going to supervise the consultant on doing this. So the consultant will be drafting all the text amendments. So I'll send that information along.
Yeah, it should be in the benefit, in our favor here. As the county board members, we're the ones who take all the heat for this. The state just lives their life down in Springfield. They don't have to deal with the calls that we get to our neighbors and everybody that come to us. And it's really hard for us. So we need to do what we can do to make it easier for all of us here. But listen, this is what we did. We made this process because we're allowed to make it a little more difficult and a little more costly. That's one thing. And one more thing. So another one is a farmer that is in one of the townships that I represent. He was originally approached by this company for an easement. They need an easement to get through the property. And it's half a mile long and 50 feet wide. And they originally offered $30,000. And the guy said, no, I'm not doing it. They came back then with a $300,000 offer. And he said, well, are you going to bury all the lines and everything? They said, no, we're not going to do that. And he said, forget it. They came back with a $3 million offer. So if they want to cry me a river that they can't pay for a permit, I really don't care, because the money that they throw out there is unbelievable, ridiculous. And it puts the property owner in a real predicament, because they're looking at $3 million for this versus the fact that this farm has been in their family for 3, 4, 5 decades. It makes it really difficult because this money is just dangling. And our landowners shouldn't have to be faced with that, putting something on their property that they don't really support. But they're like, well, what if I don't take that money? I could use that money and buy myself a new combine, because combines cost a lot of money. So this is my perspective. I wanted to have you guys hear, because this is what I hear out there on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. On to reports, communications, correspondence. But first, they moved public comment around on this. I try to include it for each case. But is there anybody here that has a public comment today and you just held out through that whole thing? Last chance. Okay. Director, do you have any comments today? Okay. Any comments from committee members? County board members? All right. No executive session today? No? 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 Okay. Then I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. All right. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Next meeting is scheduled for February 5th. Thank you, guys.
3 million.